Rex Seba.
Rex Seba, African philosophy.
La philosophie africaine au fil du temps.
Corrects Connect Africa on Rex Seba, African philosophy.
DIOPICS, Episode 3, Criticism of Senghorian Negritude. On the microphone is Aliakwe Odio. Hello dear listeners of Rex Seba, welcome to this weekly cultural event. Thank you for your loyalty. In this third episode of the DIOPICS series, we will talk about negritude and the criticism that Cheikh Anta Diop formulates against this philosophy of identity. In presenting his book, The African Origin of Civilization, Myths or Reality, Diop writes, and I quote, "Is it necessary to repeat oneself again and to proclaim once more the meaning of this study? This is not a theory of negritude. Our intention is to clarify a precise point in human history, to establish a singular fact of this history, to free it from the heap of false affirmations under which it is buried." End of quote. Ladies and gentlemen, do sit back and relax as we take off on this journey. Hotep. The philosophical category from which the theory of negritude is apprehended is that of identity, in particular, cultural identity. In broad terms, there are two approaches to this question in philosophy. On the one hand, a metaphysical and substantialist approach, and on the other hand, a historical dialectical, that is, a non-essentialist approach. For the proponents of the first approach, cultural identity is an ontological datum, a substance, an essence. We must take these words in all their metaphysical meaning, an essence that defines and determines a set of peoples and people. Cheikh Anta Diop departs from this conception of identity. This is one of the reasons for his distance from negritude, and more precisely, from Senghorian Negritude. Diop has a historical dialectical approach to cultural identity. For him, the values of a people's civilization, which constitutes the base of its cultural unity, are not the residue of a substantial or collective soul. They are rather the result of historical conquest, forged in time and space from contingencies and historical experiences. They are simply a historical heritage and not an essence. We are therefore surprised to read under the pen of Séverin Granvaux in his book African Philosophies that Diop essentializes culture. This interpretation is unfounded, but let's move on. Let us go back to the topic of negritude. In 1987, in a preface to the Ethiopic Review, Leopold Sédar Senghor, wishing to pay tribute to the memory of Diop, said he was a great theorist of negritude, and that he devoted his life to defending and to make known negritude. Some see this tribute as an attempt to recover Diopian thought in favor of the theory of negritude. Here's how Senghor defines this philosophy, and I quote, "Negritude is a set of values of civilization of the black world, which are essentially based on sensitivity, which according to Aristotle was the first of the 3 human faculties that allows us to know and transform nature." End of quote. It is also, and I quote, "the set of values of civilization of the black world, including the sense of communication, the gift of the analogical image, the gift of reading made of asymmetrical parallelisms." End of quote. The Diopian criticism of this theory focuses mainly on 4 points. First, the rejection of the ontological approach to African identity. Second, the rejection of the Senghorian idea of sensitivity and Negro emotion. Third, the rejection of the inconsistencies of the negritude in cultural and political terms. Fourth, the rejection of the alienating character of the negritude. In 1954, Diop writes, and I quote, "It is common for some Negroes of high intellectuality to remain victims of this alienation to the point of seeking in good faith to codify this Nazi idea of an alleged duality of the sensitive and emotional Negro, creator of art, and of white, especially of rationality." End of quote. However, Diop has recognized the merit of the inventor of the concept of negritude, Aimé Césaire, in which the thesis developed in Nations Nègres et Culture have found a favorable echo. Diop gives him a vibrant testimony in the preface to the 2nd edition of the book, and I quote, "It is appropriate to pay tribute here, courage, lucidity, and honesty of the brilliant poet, Aimé Césaire. After reading in one night all the first part of the book, he taught the progressive Paris of the time in search of a specialist willing to defend the book with him. Césaire, in Discourse on Colonialism, does not hesitate to present Nations Nègres et Culture as the most audacious book that a Negro has ever written, and which will count undoubtedly in the awakening of Africa." End of quote. Dear friends, our journey stops here. We will meet again next week for another episode of Rex Seba. Do yourself well and live each day your own philosophical adventure in lucidity and serenity. Ket Nebet Neferet. See you soon.
Rex Seba.
Rex Seba, African philosophy.
La philosophie africaine au fil du temps.
Correct Connect Africa on Rex Seba, African philosophy.